Honestly, what is this thing? What is it for? I mean, I get it's a blaster, but seriously, does he just float with this thing? Welcome back to my channel. In today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at G1 Retro Walmart exclusive Headmaster Highbrow. And if you're new around here, please remember to subscribe to my channel, leave a like, and leave a comment. So, let's get started. And as usual, we're going to take a look at the box. Obviously, we got the G1 Retro box. There's Highbrow right there. Nice artwork. We got the Headmaster, what it's going to look like, separate. There is Zort on the side of the box. We got more box art. Looks fantastic. Up top, we have 4 steps there to just kind of show the transformation a little bit, kind of what you're getting yourself into. On the back, here's that also G1 Retro Headmaster look, which is pretty cool. And we're going to take a look at the tech specs. So, function, electronic warfare. War is the playground of the ignorant. Quote, to him, warfare is barbaric, worthy of only the most primitive. Thinks differences need to be talked about, which he does endlessly. So we get to learn a little bit more about Highbrow. I think that's pretty cool for an Autobot. And there's the tech specs one last time, just to see where he gauges for each of his attributes. And that's the other side of the box, just like this one. So let's open it up. And here we have Highbrow out of the box in helicopter mode. It looks fantastic at first. Got the blades that do spin. They kind of do bounce off one another a little bit, but there is a little bit of wiggle room due to the pins being a little loose like that. But hey, that's kind of typical at this point, with this mold being that old. And even though a reissue is still going to be basically the same thing what it was from Titan's Return, and also the Takara version as well. The tail rotor blade back here does not move at all. There's no articulation whatsoever. The colors overall are fantastic. I think they're really cool. We got the Autobot logo here on both sides, which is very nice, which that will turn into his shoulders, but that'll be the back. So then this piece right here would be his chest then, so he does have the Autobot logo there as well. Underneath the helicopter looks pretty good. The helicopter does get a landing gear, but when you go to put this out, kind of just looks reasonably well. There are no other landing gears for over here on that lower end of the helicopter whatsoever. So, but that's cool. They threw in that nice little nod. You got some little bit of guns here. You got that yellow underneath. You still have that yellow and the red on both sides for his shoulders. I think that's pretty cool. And you got some silver and blue as well, the top off the bottom. So overall, there is some articulation for this, and I think they need to work on some of the other things for this when they go to make a newer version of this figure sometime down the line. But for right now, I think this is pretty cool. And we're going to take a look at Zort here. I forgot I put him in the cockpit. So yes, he can hang out right in there, no problem. Not much going on in there. It's just plastic. There's no console or control there for Zort to hold on to or anything like that. He does have a little bit of his face is silver. He has the blue eyes. The rest of his head is blue, and he has a little bit of that gunmetal gray right there. And the rest of his body has that same color from the top of his head there. In the front, and he has the blue arms. On the back, obviously, that's the face sculpt when he transforms for the Headmaster gimmick there. And then obviously his articulation for his thighs right there, so he can bend like that, and he can bend his knees just like this for a sitting pose. And then also, just like the rest of the Headmasters, they kind of move their hands up, and then that's pretty much it. A little bit wiggle room there. And obviously his head is on a ball joint right there. It's real small, but it does do the job. But here's the cool thing about it. We'll just get him transformed right now, so he's ready to go. And then there's the face sculpt for Highbrow, and it looks absolutely amazing there. Nice silver, blue, gunmetal gray look. Looks fantastic. So that is a nice plus right there for this figure. And another thing what you can do with these weapons with Zord, you can take both of his Highbrow's weapons, I believe it's this way, kind of put them together just like that. Then you can take good old Zord here, set him like this, move his arms up, and there is 2 peg holes right there. Put the 2 right there, peg them right in, get them to sit just like this, and there. He has a floating gun that he operates. It's a something. And on the back there's Zord again. I mean Highbrow. So there's that. Interesting. Alright, so for the transformation, it's not really that hard. Just to pop these arms out of the way. You're going to extend the wrists right there, bringing them out. Then these blades, they don't do anything. They just sit there like that. That's another thing I don't really care for. The other thing is just get the blades out of the way, because you're going to pull on this part, and it's on a double hinge. You're going to bring this down, and you got to angle it. There we go. And then fold it down. So it should be flush, just like that. And then we're gonna take his legs apart, just like that. Bring them down like that, turn them, same thing. Then you're wondering, where does this go? Well, you just do this. Click in, good to go. So now, another thing, heel. Get my thumbnail there, there we go. Fix the shoulders here. Line them up. There we go. Looks like his wrist went back in there. Quick, easy adjustment. Grab Zord. Unpeg him. The only thing I noticed with this Headmaster so far, I don't know if it's his connection. Those tabs right there, when I go to pop his head in, it goes in, but it's very very wobbly, and it looks like it's supposed to go down a little bit more, but it just don't. So it's very wobbly like this. That's a little disappointing in a way, but at the same time I think it's still pretty cool, because at least the face sculpt is fantastic. There's no paint smudges or anything. And we'll just arm him up. So we have him ready to go. So there we have Highbrow in robot mode. And we're going to take a look at the articulation for Highbrow. And overall, I gotta say, for the robot mode, it looks fantastic. His head is on a ball joint type thing because of the Headmaster little head there, you know. So it's like nice little neck. You can do a full 360. Pretty good. With the the blade straight with his arm, you can do a full 360 this way. I'm going to take the weapon out. He does have 90-degree bend at the elbow. He does have a bicep swivel. Articulation is only because of the transformation for the wrist. So that's it there. He can do the splits. He does have a thigh swivel. He can do very good knee bending. It's pretty impressive there. There is no ankle articulation whatsoever, but he does get that heel piece, so he doesn't have any problem standing up or anything like that. So that's a nice thing. Obviously, the weapons he comes with is two of basically the same thing, just opposite, so they can connect together and form Zord's like floating blaster mode thing. So, but overall, the blasters individually are still pretty cool. So he does have that going for him. The colors on him in robot mode look fantastic still. The red and the yellow help this gray color tie in with this blue. And then we get a little bit more red. We get a little bit of that silver. Silver up here as well. Trying to see if there's anything else, but I think that's mainly it for coloring. And obviously his face has the gunmetal gray, which I've already mentioned. His weapons are basically the same, the gray or the blue, nothing more. Wish they would have added just a little bit more red to them somewhere, maybe, but you know, it's okay. We got the yellow on the back for the helicopter mode. And one thing I wanted to point out, like I said, I believe I said earlier, the blades just sit here. That's kind of, yeah. So far he's not my favorite out of the G1 Retro figures. He's kind of more towards the bottom of the list, but I think this guy still brings some nice things to the table. And here I have Highbrow next to his fellow G1 Retro Walmart exclusive Headmasters. And they look about the same size, give or take. Only the wings are a little bit higher on certain figures, or certain gun turret is like through the roof over there on the left. So it's not too bad. My final thoughts on Transformers G1 Retro Highbrow with Headmaster Zort. Honestly, I have some good things to talk about this figure, and there's some things I don't like. So I'm going to get to the good ones first. I think it's the best way to do it. The head sculpt looks fantastic. The colors for the robot mode and helicopter mode, for the most part, stand out really, really good. And I noticed that right now, and I'm going to fix this, I turned this piece the wrong way when I did the transformation, so I'm going to correct that right now. So this is the way it should look, just like that, with the small pin, not the large pin with that hole right there, the gap. So I apologize for that. Just didn't notice that. They look very similar. So the articulation overall for the figure, it does have good ball joint for the head due to the Headmaster, the bicep 90 degrees at the elbow with the swivel, that looks all good. Knee articulation is good. The thigh swivel and the splits is fantastic as well. The weapons are very like generic in a way, but it matches up with the figure, and then you can combine it into that weird mode I was talking about earlier, so that's a pretty cool thing. The blades back here though, they just kind of just flop all over the place. I looked at them a couple different times. They don't fold in or anything like that, just to get them to stop moving. I mean, I guess you can kind of maybe pull back on the canopy and kind of get them to stick in there, but you know, maybe we can do that. Let's try that right there. I don't know. So there's something you can do with it, maybe. Another bad thing, the cockpit for the helicopter mode overall is good, but in the inside it's just plain bare. There's nothing in there, nothing at all. The other thing is the landing gear for obviously the helicopter mode as well. It's just kind of lazy. They put one here for it, but they give you nothing for the rear end of the helicopter like they should. You get these two wheels right here, but you can't snap them in a certain way to get them to be used for the back part whatsoever. There's nothing in the instructions for it. Unless I missed something, I'm just going to have to leave it as a con thing for now. So there's a lot of pro things about this thing, some, you know, a little bit of bad things, but overall I think this isn't a terrible figure or anything. It got a lot of 5mm ports right here on both wings. Any of the arms, legs, no. So at least I have some more playability options there, even with some of the newer stuff that's out. Looking on the back, nothing. And the other downside of this figure is the tail rotors do not move. There's no articulation for that, and no ankle articulation either. I probably already mentioned that, but enough rambling on. Overall, I mean, to complete the set, I was happy to pick this up. I don't own a Highbrow figure until now, and I'm still happy with it. I think the face sculpt still stands out as like one of the best things they nailed for this figure. The overall paint job for the body, like I said, looks fantastic. I just wish they would have just fixed a couple little minor things, maybe some better wrist articulation, you know, and maybe some ankle tilt, but I know this is from Titan's Return. So, you know, maybe sometime in the future, in a couple of years, maybe we'll get a new updated version of some of these Headmasters, but some of them have been pretty cool. and have been great hits, and nothing really on the terrible end. So overall, I just gotta say this: it's going to be a mixed bag for this guy. But I'm just glad that there's some really nice positive things to put him on a shelf to display him, and he'll be just fine. So that's it for the review. Thank you for watching.